Well, hello there, buongiorno. How about I do greetings from around the world every time we start the weekly chatter live over here at Travel Quest Network? A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us this Friday. Every Friday, we like to close out the week and celebrate our wins, share our challenges, share a little bit of industry news, hear from our members, their stories, get some sales information. we try to have an action packed show every single Friday. And if you enjoy this show, please give us some hearts, some likes, some thumbs up, whatever you have in you to give. We feed off of that, so please give it to us. In today's show, we've got quite a few guests. Jason will be joining us in a little bit. He has got an interview with one of our members, and I'll let him introduce that member. And then we have Velma coming in. She's going to be reporting on sales. She's got her numbers ready to talk about that, and then we are going to, of course, go through headlines and just have a good old fashioned chin wag like we like to do at the weekly chatter. If you are a member of Travel Quest Network and you are in our members only Facebook group, then that's where the conversation is happening. The live conversation is happening. So please drop your thoughts, your wins, your challenges, questions. Just say hello. Drop those down in the comments so we know you're here. And if you happen to miss the weekly chatter live, you can definitely watch it on demand on YouTube, Facebook, as well as through. If you could even listen to it on a podcast, because we are also a podcast on your favorite podcasting platform. All right, so I want to go to the chat, see what's going on. Just so everybody knows, I thought about this after the fact. We don't date the show when we're broadcasting. So today is September the 30th, 2022. And you are joining us for the weekly chat, just in case you were confused. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. I'm just looking down at my phone. So many people watching right now. Wow, this is a great show. Daniela, happy Friday. Always good to see you, Daniela. Alan, my man, Alan, happy Friday. Great call yesterday for Agent Profiler. He's talking about the workshop that Tatiana and I did, the Agent Profiler workshop. I loved it, and I'm almost at Super Agent already as soon as I write these 3 additional bios. Okay, so Alan, we're going to have to talk later because you weren't even published as of yesterday. So, pretty excited. I can't wait to hear what's going on with you. Christine said, hello from a soaked Florida. I hope you weathered the storm okay, Christine. I hope there wasn't any damage. Just maybe your plants are overloaded with water. For any of you that have been in or are going to be in the path of the storm, I hope you're okay and you weather the storm um, just grand. Let's see here. Rebecca, happy Friday. I'm going to try to join in and listen in on my drive back to my new home in Tampa area. I survived my first hurricane. Welcome to Florida, right? That's way to go. Rebecca moves from Oregon, right? To Florida. That's fantastic. Welcome to Florida. Uh, and yes, definitely. She said, my heart breaks for the others who are less fortunate. Yes, that is weighing very heavy on everyone's mind. Christine said, I love this soundtrack. So she's talking about the Countdown soundtrack. Guess what? You have our new producer, Britta. She's in the house. Call her DJ Britta if you want. She chose that music. Let's see. Alan chimed in, said he got a contract today to host an orchestra high school group to Disney for $50,000. Congratulations, Alan. Now, Disney is right in Alan's wheelhouse. I know this because he's participated in the workshops, the Agent Profiler workshop. And plus, I've been able to hang out with him. So very, very excited for you. Let's see. Christina, happy Friday. Finished my Super Agent this week. Woohoo! Is this the week of Super Agent? I think it might be. If you guys don't know, when you are a member of Travel Quest Network or one of our professional plans, you have access to Agent Profiler, which is a phenomenal directory for future clients to find you on the web. And there is it's a fantastic way for you to take up some space on the web outside of your website and outside of your social media. But there's also a new feature called Super Agent. And that just means that you have a nice, robust profile. And we try to we have a system for how you build a agent profiler super agent profile. So those of you who have already taken part in the course, um, you know the tips and the tricks, but sometimes it does take a little bit more time than you can get into the workshop. So I am really happy to see that Christina got her super agent this week. And let's see, she's on the process of getting her last client moved from the Cap Cana resort. Shutdowns may actually be a bigger sale in the long run. How about that? How many? Just question out there. We might come back to it towards the end of the show, but how many times have you had to think on your feet, adjust plans for your clients, and it end up being a better situation for not only them, but for you? I'd love to hear more stories like Christina's. That's excellent. Um, Let's see. Oh, and Christine is reaching out to you, Alan. She's got questions. She wants to know, do you have an assistant? How do you stay organized? She really does want to know. So please reach out to her. Lena, happy Friday, everyone. Lisa, happy Friday. So blessed to have made it through the hurricane here in Largo, Florida, and with power this time. Prayers for those devastated south in Fort Myers. Yes. Amen to that. Lisa, hi from sunny Florida. It's gorgeous today. So she's the sun will come up tomorrow in her eyes there. Let's see. Christine, my win this week is working on completion of my certifications. That's her specialist certifications and my agent profiler. So I am ready for super agent status. Completed the CCC, almost finished with the leisure travel specialist certification. Man, Christine, you got a lot going on from the last time I saw you in July. Jen, hello from New York. Stacy, hello from Denver. Bridget, howdy from Texas. Let's see. Sorry, I got it, guys. I got to keep my eyes shifting. You guys are coming in with a lot of comments. And let's see here. Marie said, have a spec group wanting to deposit detail and price not finalized, but you're getting there. I bet you can feel it. All right, Angela is our Angela, who heads up Travel Quest Network marketing. She is giving Britta, our producer, some props, some mighty fine producing there. Those two, they're awesome. Let's see, and Amanda, hi from Florida. So a lot of Florida in the house. Very glad that you were able to join us on this Friday. All right, so I want to. So a few weeks ago, we switched up the weekly chatter to have some cool new features, and apparently, you guys really like the way we've mixed it up a little bit. So now we are taking time out each week to get to know some of our members, some of our Questy winners, if you know our annual awards, or just agents that really have a story that we think that you will find extremely interesting. So I think at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Jason. I hear there might be some sound issues, but we're gonna work through that. But Britta, do you want to send it over to Jason?
Another guest with us this week. Hey there, everybody. So we have another guest with us this week, one of your peers, one of the Travel Quest Network members, and one of our Questy Award winners from 2022. I'm really excited to introduce you all to Michael Belmont. I don't know if you all know Michael, but Michael's agreed to join us today. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for joining us on the weekly chatter.
Absolutely. Thanks. I think this might be my first interview.
Well, it's gonna be super easy. Don't you worry. So I want everyone to get to know you. You've got a really interesting story. I think that's why we wanted you to be on the weekly chatter. You're of course one of our Questy Award winners. So what Questies? Let everyone know, what Questies did you win this year for 2022?
So I agree. The one that really kind of popped to me and the one that I remember the most is the growth, biggest percentage growth year over year, which was definitely something that I was trying into the year. So I do know that. And then off the top of my head, I know I won another two, really, really, prestigious awards within the company.
Awesome. So tell everybody how you got into travel, because you haven't been in it for that long.
I haven't, no. It was, so when I was younger, coming straight out of college, so I would consider that, my first foot in the door of the travel industry. That's very long. I worked for them for probably about a year. But that was my first experience. I did take a little break. Got involved in some other industries, but then around end of 2019, going into 2020, I kind of I wanted to new, and I knew I wanted to, have a blog. I wanted to have business, and I didn't know what I was going to sell or how I was going to make money. But then I want to do theme parks. It was just the perfect fit where, we should focus on travel, because that's, handy blog, Disney travel, Universal travel, kind of just made sense.
So tell everybody a little bit more. So your agency has a very specific focus. Some agencies handle everything under the sun. Last week we talked with Sarah Cantor, and she really likes to focus on Mexico and some destinations like that. So tell everybody a little bit about your agency. It's called The Park Prodigy. Is that right?
Yes. The agency is called The Park Prodigy, and as you could probably guess from Disney and Universal theme parks. Right now, we're focusing, on Florida mostly, and we are coast. Coming into it, I'm a Disney fan. I've been my whole life. But the truth is, we've had a lot of success with Universal. So, we just kind of really started to focus a lot on Universal travel, and it's been a really great.
So what do you think, talk to us a little bit about, so a lot about the theme park space now, even in your short time. What do you think it is about the Universal product that is so compelling? Because, Disney's been around for forever and everybody knows it. Why do you think you're seeing the success you're seeing with the Universal products?
I think it has a lot to do, from an affordability standpoint. It's just more affordable. It's numbers could come side by side. What I would also say, though, is when you look at the value you get, I would say when you look at the price you pay for a deluxe versus the deluxe over it, and I think you do get a nicer hotel in a lot of situations. Now, Disney, of course, is upgrading the room. They upgraded a lot of those hotels. It's easy. You could see the value in the Universal resorts with the free express passes, and of course early park admission, right? So Disney now, it's a half hour. Universal has always been an hour. I also think that when you actually just look at one of the biggest things that we try to show our clients, we really try to show them not just the early park admission, but try to put numbers in front of them. Hey, with the early park admission, it's tough, right? But if you get up and you go to the parks that early, you're going to save at least an hour just bus, right? And then you're going to go to the Velocicoaster. So you just saved yourself an hour and a half, to potentially. If you could show them that, it becomes real to them, and it's not just a person to do. So I think there's a lot. I think affordability. I think the extra benefit. And then it's smaller. I think it's just an easier vacation to plan as well. And I think for a lot of families, it might be the safer bet. And especially when you're spending that type of money, you want to truthfully not have to worry about park reservations and what happens if the dining sells out. It's just.
So speaking of dining and park reservations, and this comes up all the time whenever we talk about Disney, how do you approach those kinds of things? Those clients who might ask you for, hey, can you make us park reservations? Hey, can you make us dining reservations? Hey, my kid wants to go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Is that stuff that you play in, or do you say no, or somewhere in between?
It is. I think too, it's a fine line because the Disney system is set up. I think the most important thing that we've learned is keeping expectations in line. I'm doing the heavy lifting, and I think that's, again, one of the benefits to using travel agency thing. And I, again, going back to showing clients the numbers, in my mind, it's kind of like an infinite product, right? If you come and book your vacation package with me, I want to show you, like, hey, we'll do a bibbidi boppity. Like, we will do all the hard lifting, and you won't have to wait on hold with Disney. Did you know that there was last Halloween for after hour tickets, right? So I'll tell them we'll do all the heavy lifting, but the important thing that I've realized is then explaining, like, hey, we're going to try to make your park reservations, but this is the way the system is set up, and sometimes it's almost always the restaurant or the time. It's almost never both. It's very, very, very difficult in the rare situation. I'm helping a friend out, we might be doing, and they're staying off site. So yes, we do concierge level service. With that being said, it's just, from my experience, it's very important that we set expectations, especially with Disney, because their system isn't around it. If there's not a reservation, unfortunately, that's it. That's the reality.
Well, I think, look, as a sales professional in any niche, the market, and in any industry even, I think that point to set expectations should be well taken. I think that's really important. Speaking of niches, I talk about niche selection a lot, and you're one of the agencies who really has selected a focused niche, and you don't really do anything else. And I just want to say for everybody, it's possible to select a niche and still do other things. But in your growth path, Michael, tell us about what has selecting a niche, how has that allowed you to focus, and how has that allowed you to scale your business?
That's a great question. I think it doesn't matter if it's just specifically just something within the marketing of your business in general, right? I think do something really, really well until you move on to the next thing. And for me, that was, even and we say, okay, we're just going to sell Disney and Universal, right? Well, for me, I realized early on we're a lot more, and we're selling it a lot better and easier than over at Disney. So I pivoted a lot of Universal content, and I was like, this is how we're going to build a business. This is giving us the best chance to sell Universal as much as I possibly can, right? And it's the same thing with our blog. Distracting for me starting the business with everything online. You want to have a blog on YouTube, but it was the same concept in my head. Well, no, just stick with the blog. Do that really well. You feel like you're at the point where you kind of plateaued, then you pivot, and now because a huge opportunity for all of us in the industry. But yeah, I think that's okay. Do this really well to the highest capabilities that this product really, really well. Sell it at Universal, now move over to Disney, now sell the theme parks, and then you kind of figure out what you want to do. I think too, my biggest thing was I wanted, you want a huge company, but do I really need that, or am I happy just selling this to theme parks? So I have to go further than that. But I think it's important to keep that in mind, that you could just niche it down and then figure it out from there.
Yeah. Now, so blogs and content production are a big part of your business, and sometimes for those of our other members out there, the idea of writing a blog can be maybe a scary or intimidating thing. What advice would you give to somebody who maybe isn't super tech savvy? They maybe even aren't a great writer. What advice would you give them to if they wanted to use that as a tool to generate new client interest over the long term?
I don't want to quote Nike, but I have to just get started. I mean, I'm not joking when I say that I almost failed English in high school. I'm not a good writer. It just was not my thing, right? So I had the same thoughts coming, right? Would people actually read it? But the truth is, you have to just start, and you could go back went, it was not good. It just wasn't. But you learn through that, right? And you figure out a connection. The other thing I would say too is almost anything you need to know about blogging or creating online, and it's free, right? You can find the information, and it's all at our implementing it, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and then you pick.
I think that's great advice. I couldn't have said it any better. And so many things in life are like that, right? You just got to start doing it.
For sure.
Even if it doesn't, even if it feels like you're failing, and you might be failing, but if you stick with it, you get going. Good things can happen. I think you're living proof of that. I have so many things that I want to ask you, so we're probably gonna have to have you back on again at some point soon. But I want people to get a chance to know you. Some quick question. What's your favorite destination outside of Disney and Universal?
And I would probably say Southern California, even though Disneyland is down there, but just out it. The weather is beautiful, beaches. I think it's just such just so much to say. I love it.
It's a cool vibe. It's down in SoCal for sure. Okay, let's see here. What do you think is the most underrated destination that's out there? And maybe it's something underrated at Disney and Universal, since that's kind of your wheelhouse. What should everybody be thinking about, and maybe try to send their clients to that particular resort or something like that?
I would say, I'm going to go with my home city. I'm going to say specifically, check out the outer boroughs. I think people come to New York and they see Times Square and they see the bright lights and they think that's New York. But I promise you, Brooklyn, go to the Bronx, go to a Yankee game. That's New York. And if you think that those parts of the city, especially the pizza here in Brooklyn, it's not New York and pizza, right? But you have to check it out for yourself.
Awesome. Okay, and let's go one more. One more quick question for Michael. Let's see. How about what's on your bucket list? Where's next? Where's your next trip? What are you excited about?
Yeah. So top on the bucket list is Tokyo. I've wanted to go for a long time. I only ate right before COVID, and we all know that story. But it's still top of the bucket list, and I'm as soon as things kind of get back to a little bit more of a normal schedule.
Awesome. That Tokyo is. I was in Tokyo when I was much younger, but I was only there for a few hours. It was literally like a layover. We left the airport for like 3 or 4 hours, but it was a cool city. I would love to go back there. So that's a great choice. All right, Michael Belmont, thank you so much for joining us. You were terrific. We're definitely gonna have to have you back on again, because I want to pick your brain some more. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, back to you.
All right. I absolutely love Michael because he is living, breathing the inbound marketing philosophy of creating that content to bring traffic your way. And Christine, I saw your question. I didn't have time to interrupt them, but Christine was asking Michael, does he think the blog was pivotal in helping grow helping the park business grow for him? And I got to spend some time with Michael. I spent a day with him at Universal, and I accidentally kept getting in his videos. And I mean, it was an accident. I wasn't trying to hog camera time, but he was telling me all about how. And he shared that there's so much information online that is free information for you on how to really optimize the content that you create. And he and his team, they're constantly looking for what people are searching for around those destinations, and he creates content around that. So if there is a question about back. I think I might be back. So hopefully you guys are still tuned in. I'm back. Oh, now I'm hearing myself, so I am back. I think I might be back. All right. Sorry about that. Hey, we're just rolling down the river. Okay, got my song in, and let's see. I need to get my fan out because I was just sweating with that little disconnection that we had. So sorry about that. Uh, I think it's time, Britta, if you can bring in our extra special guest, Velma. I need some company on air right now. There she is. Hello, Velma.
Am I in here? Hey, Joshua.
Whew.
Woo,
All of a sudden, it went black. I didn't
whoa,
see
I'm
anything.
telling you. I'm telling you. Show business it can be tricky.
It is so good to see your face this Friday. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday. It's a bright sunny day here in Texas.
Yeah? Well,
Mhm.
I'm getting ready. I'm getting into my autumnal
Oh,
wardrobe. So,
yes.
tomorrow is October 1st.
Well, that's
So,
true.
so I decided to dress like a big pumpkin. So,
Might as well. Might as
might,
well.
might as well. Velma's the only one that would say that to me. Might as well. Might as well.
Might as
All right.
go with it. Okay.
So we're handing it over to you
Mhm.
because you are the keeper of the sales. So
Yes, I
take
am.
it away.
Okay. Well, this past week was a great revenue week. And as usual, I like to start with number three. And number three is awesome. It tends to be the top three revenue members each week. All the sales are just great. So at number three, it was $10,503. And I've discovered that people like to hear how did they do that? What makes that up? So this particular member sold a combination of NCL, Oceana, Viking River, and ALG products. And this is great. This is great commission. And it wasn't that many sales, so the commission for each sale was very, very good. Then in number two, 15,512. And this is the same one that surprises me every week. It's airline tickets, hotels, rental cars, and service fees. And last week there was a question about the service fees, and these are the type of fees that are charged through Agent Air and through the GDS. So that's when you issue hopefully, if you do an airline ticket, you're going to charge a fee. There's been some questions on that on Facebook this week. And yes, you never want to sell an airline ticket without a fee. That would just be a big no. Okay. And then in number one, I don't have a prop yet. I don't have any sound effects, Joshua. So number one, $15,996. About four more dollars, we could have said 15,000, 16,000, or something. It's very close to 16,000. And this was kind of surprising to me. Mostly made up of American Airlines vacations. So it's good to see that that's a supplier that people are really selling. I know in my area we did sell a lot of American Airlines vacations because DFW is their hub. So and there was also a Trafalgar tour in there with very good commission. These tour companies, if you can sell an escorted tour, the commission is great. So that's pretty much for the revenue for the week. Remember, these are revenue figures. These are not sales. I tend to say sales, but this is the revenue earned for the member for 1 week. It's just so awesome.
That is awesome.
It
I mean,
is awesome.
those
Mhm.
are fantastic numbers, and
Yes.
I like the breakdown
Yes.
of where it's coming from. Um, and I also I think this is a new segment we should add is Velma's big no-nos. So I think there
Well,
is a
I have a
space
lot.
for Velma's big no-nos.
I have a lot of no-nos.
Definitely.
So I can do
Um,
that.
Velma, let me ask you a question before I let you go. Um, in life in general, right?
Uh-oh. You
What?
know what?
What?
You kind of cut out. What was the question in general?
So if you had to do it all over again, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
You're a little
So
fuzzy, but anyway, go ahead.
so if you had to do it all over again and you had the knowledge that you have, all your travel knowledge,
Uh-huh.
what products would you focus on? To not necessarily to hit the top three, but
Hmm.
where would you say is the most lucrative in your opinion?
I would probably go heavy into river cruising.
River
Yeah,
cruising seems to be,
it's
that's Jason's favorite too.
well, the return for the work you put into it, it would be hard to beat that return. The revenue in river cruising, plus the customer satisfaction. That has a
Mhm.
lot to do with the products. I want to sell something that makes the customer happy and they come back and they love me. And Joshua, I don't like trouble. I do not like any trouble. And I want them to come back and say, Velma, you are awesome. And that's pretty much what you get with river cruising.
Uh,
So
I
yeah.
love that. You gotta love me. If I'm gonna work with you, you gotta love me.
Well, yes, I have to be liked or I just can't, I just I don't like that not to be liked. It's awkward.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for bringing us the weekly sales, guys. I know that I know I used to start with number one and go to three. I know you love that Velma starts with number three and goes to number one. Totally makes sense. My feelings are not hurt. I'm just so happy to have Velma on the show every single week. And
Mhm.
Velma, have a wonderful weekend.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You too, Joshua.
All right, bye bye. All right, now before I bring Jason back and we talk headlines, I want to go over a couple of events that you'll want to know about, that are coming up in the next week. Now, tomorrow is our roadshow in Atlanta, and I am so excited that so many of you are going to be joining us, and so many of our travel partners are going to be joining us. So if you want to see any of the good time that's happening at the roadshow, search for the hashtag TravelQuest Network Roadshow, so you can find us and see our posts from the event, or just follow the TravelQuest Network Instagram and Facebook page so you can see those photos, because I'm gonna be the social media guy during the roadshow. So look for photos from the event tomorrow, and can't wait to see you guys in person. On Wednesday, all of these events will be events that you can register for within Facebook or in our Pro Portal. Wednesday at 3, we've got American Queen joining us. Celeste is going to be speaking with them. And then on Thursday, we have Matt from Delta Vacations joining Celeste at 11 for a special session. So look for those details to come. They'll also be in network news. Make sure you join us for these events. And with that said, I'm going to move right over to bring in my friend and the CEO of TravelQuest Network, Jason Block. Hey, Jason.
Hey again.
Hey, great interview. I know the audio was messy, but it sounded like we were having technical difficulties all the way around.
I'm
So,
gonna chalk all of this up to we're talking about headlines. The hurricane is definitely the biggest story of the week. So I'm gonna chalk all this up to crappy internet from the hurricane.
yes, there we go. Yes. But
How you
but
doing?
Michael had such great things to say, and I got to spend time with him in July, at Universal, and I no lie, I kept accidentally like, you know how you talk smack about things over someone's shoulder? I'd like go over his back shoulder to talk smack about something, and then he's like on camera trying to document his experience, which is exactly what he was supposed to do on the fan. And I
That's
was
right.
absolutely mortified that I was the one that did that. But yeah, he's really got it down, and he knows his numbers, not just his
Yes.
sales numbers, but he knows his traffic numbers. He knows how he ranks, and he is highly
Mhm.
competitive with it.
Mhm. He's a terrific guy, and I've only known him a short time, but he's really terrific, and I would like to bring him back. And we've had a few conversations over the last several weeks, and I think he's doing some really interesting things. In a segment of the market that's been around for a long, long time. So I'm so excited for his success, and I think he's got things that he can share with others as well. So I was glad we could have him on. Next time we'll maybe send him a microphone or something. But he's great. He's great.
Well, and we've been doing these agent profiler workshops, and now Tatiana has joined our team, and she's going
Yep.
to continue on with them and much more content around agent profiler. But you talked about how you're always talking about the niche selection process, and I
Mhm.
do that. I mean, it's just good marketing, right? It's you can't be everything to everybody, and you definitely can't market that way either. You have to spend your
Right.
money where you're going to get the biggest return. So one of the things I know you have many conversations with our members, but in really these conversations that we're having around the workshop. Um, in Agent Profiler, you have your main profile, and then you
Mhm.
have to have three additional bios. You can have way more, like our Angie, who has way more. Um, but the way I look at it is your capstone is your overarching. It's your sweet spot. It's the through line through everything, and then you've got your additional bios that should really start to niche down, and it
Mhm.
helps you from optimization. It also helps from a user's perspective for them to quickly see what are you about, because people are only
Exactly.
scanning for photos and headlines. But and this happened to me yesterday, and Alan, who's watching right now, he was in the call, and it happens over and over again. Many people interpret really finding your niche as turning away business, the existing business that they have, because that might not be the niche that they want to market to.
Right.
And I have an answer to it, but I wanted to kick that over to you because here Michael is in a highly competitive space. If anyone came to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to do Disney and Universal," I'd say, "There's a lot of people in that camp." But he's done it. He's been able to grow his business relatively quickly by being so
Mhm.
hyper focused.
Mhm.
So, what do you think about those people who feel like they're scared to turn away business because they've
Well,
niched down?
when we talk about niche, to me there's two sides to the question. There's the ideal, and what I mean by that is depending on your timeline, your time horizon. As you're looking at your business and how long you're giving yourself for it to grow, to hit a certain profit level, and your resources. Right. Some people are in a fortunate position where their business is not a primary income driver for their household or their family, where other people it very much is, and their time horizon is much shorter. And so in a perfect ideal world, you have lots of time where you can really focus in on a tight niche, and as Michael said, master something and then expand it. Now the real world comes into that idea and kind of smacks it around a little bit, right? Because you need to drive revenue, you need to pay the bills, and you need to hit your goals. So the way I would look at it is, when we're going to take an hour of your to create something on your website, you're going to put something on social media, you're going to talk to a neighbor, that hour should be spent on that target niche that you want to eventually dominate, right? It shouldn't be spread across 30 different things, and one thing today and a different thing next Tuesday and something else again the following Thursday. So that's how I would look at it. I would never tell anybody to turn away revenue, unless you have that fortunate position of a really long ramp up period and don't have the necessity to drive revenue today, and you can just be focused on building your content, building your processes, building your sales pitch around that tight niche. I mean, that's the perfect best case scenario, but that's pretty rare, to be honest, right? That's pretty rare. So, I would never tell anybody to turn away a sale because it is not in your niche. I mean, there's other valid reasons to turn away a sale that we can talk about at some point, but it's really about the resources that you do have, the time, the money that you are investing in defining your brand. That's where it should really be focused.
Right. I like to, when someone is worried about, well, I have all this business over here that I do. It's not my niche, but I have all this business that I do. It, from a marketing perspective, it's about your new clients coming into your funnel, and who
Right.
do you want in that funnel? Keep that business if it's there, and they can grow with you. But if you're going to invest in marketing, your website content, your blog content, like Michael does, advertising, whatever, hone in on something and be known for that.
For sure.
So anyway, I just
Definitely.
the fact that Michael was our guest and that came up again, we spent about 45 minutes trying to break down people's capstone and then their three foundational additional bios, and it's that same thing over and over again. It's that fear that I'm going to miss out on a random bit of business versus being hyper focused. So anyway, I know it's your passion, so I knew I knew I could bring that up.
Yeah.
So let's talk headlines.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know obviously big story of the week, the hurricane, and I know we have members down in the Southwest Florida area and other parts of Florida, obviously. And so we're definitely thinking about you all. And I hope that things aren't too bad for you. I mean, we're both native Floridians. I can't even say it, Joshua. Native Floridians. It's been so long since
You've been gone too long. You've been gone too long, and you're not Floridian. There you go.
Right. So, I mean, we've both certainly seen hurricanes firsthand, and it's no joke. So, we're definitely thinking about all of you. And that's had spillover effects to the industry outside of all the personal situations. I mean, we've seen canceled cruises and flights and all that stuff. So that's obviously, one more little jab in the ribs as we, recover from the pandemic and all of the flight cancellations of the summer. But one story that, because of the hurricane, I don't think has gotten a whole lot of press is the new proposed Department of Transportation rule. And I don't know, have you heard this? So the
No,
Department of
I'm
Transportation,
taking notes right now.
yeah. So they have put out a proposal. The Biden administration has put out a proposal that they want all of the airlines. That's how they kind of are marketing it. And I don't want to delve into politics. I'll just try to have the facts. They want the airlines along with ticketing agents. So that's us. That's you. To disclose all the various fees that go along with an airfare. And, on the surface, that's good. So it's, itemizing out the baggage fees, the cancellation fees, the change fees, I want an extra bag of peanut fee, all that stuff. And, that's good, right? We want consumers to have information. Where we kind of get the rub is when we say, hey, we want that to apply to travel agents, to ticketing agents, as it's called in the IATA rules. And we want it done not just for online transactions, we want it done for in-person transactions, over the phone transactions, email transactions. So you can start to think of the long disclosure script you might read to sell air, and even as part of a package. So obviously, that's something that the agency industry is not really enthused about, nor the airline industry. And so, organizations like ASTA are pushing back on that and saying, hey, this is good. But let's make it reasonable. So, these are things that should be disclosed only when requested by the customer. And there's already disclosures that, are required in there to break out fees and air taxes and those kinds of things. But I think the objective is, let's make this disclosure requirement, manageable. without completely changing everybody's operating processes, right? And so the rule is out there open for comment for the next 60 days from the public, from the industry. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, sensible heads will prevail, but you never know in Washington if that'll be the case. So that, I think, is a story that has not gotten a lot of attention and could potentially be, a little disruptive. So hopefully, ASTA's been pretty good about convincing both, but also some of the, the Department of Transportation, in educating them on, okay, well, here's what that rule would mean in the real world.
Right.
So we will likely, during the next 60 days, have some opportunities for you to engage in some grassroots efforts. So we'll be probably pushing out something for you to, click a button that'll send your local congressman and senator, a form letter from ASTA that will, represent the industry. And those grassroots efforts do make an impact. So be on the lookout for those over the next couple of months.
Yeah, and I just want to say, big plug to ASTA. If you have not joined ASTA, please, it's the American Society of Travel Advisors. Please, in the Pro Portal, you can find out how to join ASTA. But they are really working on your behalf and keeping track of things like this and coming up with plans of attack and who are the right people to speak to. I got to participate in Legislative Day, which I hope next year more of you will join us as we participate in Legislative Day. But that is where you meet with your local representatives and senators. And I have to tell you, Jason, you haven't done that yet, have you?
I have not. The last couple of years, I've had a conflict, but it is definitely something I'm looking to do.
Well, I was really, really nervous. I was thinking, it was going to be like, Joshua on the Hill. Like I had to, wear high-waisted pants and, have my tie on. Anyway, somebody stopped me and said, just be yourself. And that's always a good piece of advice. But what I was surprised in meeting with either the representative or someone from their team is many of them do not even understand what a travel agent does and how they make money.
Right.
It's lumped in with hairdressers and gig workers, things like that. People do not understand. So I spent so much time just explaining that we don't get paid until people travel, and their minds were blown. So you getting involved, whether it's like Jason said, clicking a form to submit a form letter to your local representative, or doing something a little bit extra to really support our industry. These things that ASTA keeps their eye on, they're really important. They could make could have a huge impact in our business.
They certainly are, and they've made it pretty affordable for individual memberships, and I mean it really does make a difference, and it's something we would certainly encourage you to do if you can. So one other thing, so that's a bit of, well, let's wait and see kind of news. But, we keep talking about rising interest rates, inflation. Is travel demand going to, maintain at this kind of breakneck pace? And, a couple of things interesting happened. Delta and Jetblue came out this week, and they said not only are they seeing demand stay, they see it continuing to increase. They're seeing a lot of increase on the business travel side. They're seeing leisure demand showing no signs of slowing down. And they were all these are in some of their earnings calls and things like that, and they were hopeful for it, but a little surprised to actually see it, because all the folks who run the airlines, they turn on the news and read the paper just like all of us. And they keep hearing it, inflation, and other things like that. So there is still a fair amount of pent up demand, and we're seeing it in our network wide numbers. We're still growing at a very high rate on an per agent basis over 2019. And that's really exciting. And then you saw Delta this week saying they're actually going to increase their capacity for next summer, for summer of 23. So they're adding 8% more seats in their European routes to places like London and Rome and Paris and Dusseldorf and Stuttgart and Geneva and all sorts of cool places in Europe. And so that's good news from an affordability standpoint, right? I mean, if we see 8% more capacity, even with rising demand, that can hopefully keep prices, not any higher and maybe a little lower. So combined with hopefully some reductions in cost of fuel, that can spell good things for affordability, because that's one of the things that we talked about last week, affluent travel being so important in the years ahead. That's one of the things that's driving that, is it's just expensive to fly somewhere. So I'm happy to see Delta is one airline at least who is increasing capacity and starting to get their staffing issues in order and kind of working through that post-pandemic glut that most of the carriers were stuck in. So that's, I think, pretty encouraging.
Yeah, and when one makes a move, the other has to make a move as well. So that's the way the airlines work, and many other businesses too.
Yeah, my impression of the airline negotiation, they sell press release, and then I picture this one, and then the other airline reads it like, oh, and then they follow suit. So they do that, on the good things and the bad things. So
Yeah.
Interesting. One other kind of Delta story: Virgin Atlantic is joining Skyteam. So now, probably look for some opportunities for, cross privileges between Skyteam or between, Delta cardholders or SkyMiles members and onto Virgin Atlantic. And maybe I'm kind of hopeful that, I know we have lots of clients who have a fair amount of Delta SkyMiles. There might be some opportunities to redeem those on Virgin Voyages. So I don't know, but that would be an interesting opportunity. I did see one thing. I know Virgin, their Air Mile program, you can redeem for essentially onboard credit on Virgin Voyages. So if you can do that with SkyMiles, I'm not saying you can, but if you could, that would be a nice thing as an inducement to get some folks to try Virgin Voyages. So,
if they didn't already have that idea, I think you can copyright that as September 30th, 2022.
That's right. That's right. So that's kind of an interesting thing, I thought.
Yeah. And I have never flown on Virgin. Have you?
I have once. I know once for sure, maybe twice, but it's been at least a decade ago.
Okay.
So
I've never flown on it, and everyone says it's just an amazing experience. So
it was cool. It was cool. Yeah, I mean,
Well.
it's definitely different. I mean, it's kind of like how they do everything. It's just, it's a cool vibe.
Yeah. Richard, he's got something going on. He's got he makes some special Kool-Aid on his island, and it creates a lot of great ideas.
So I have one last story for you. There's some others, but one last one just for another time that I saw just for you.
Oh.
So I know you are a huge James Bond fan, right?
Yes. Do you see? I've got the bulldog. I got the Royal Dalton bulldog from M's desk. So sorry. Yes.
Nice.
Huge.
So it's the 60th anniversary of James Bond, and the resort called GoldenEye, where Ian Fleming wrote all of the James Bond novels, is running a sale. And I'm not necessarily trying to promote them, but I thought it was pretty cool. So you can, if you on a 4-night package or more, you get 30% off. And that's between basically now and December 19th. Rates are not cheap. They start at $575 a night. But if it's a boutique little resort in Jamaica, and if you're a James Bond fan or one of your clients is a James Bond fan, that might be a very interesting thing for you to pitch them for the 60th anniversary. I thought you would dig that, Joshua.
So Jason, you have a time off request to approve that is already in, and I have stayed at the GoldenEye.
You have.
Yes, and it is beyond you being a James Bond fan. I mean, that's just kind of like the background history. It is. It is like a movie set in the fact that each bungalow has a very different vibe and feel. In fact, you might remember this. Remember there was a show called MTV Cribs?
Yep.
Okay,
Of course.
so Naomi Campbell
Uh-huh.
said that she had her little house. It was like a little boat house in Jamaica, and she said it was her house. No, it's one of the bungalows at Goldeneye. So yes, it is a very cool experience, even if you are not a James Bond fan. In fact, it would be an excellent way to do Jamaica. So.
Yeah.
Yes, now I'm all excited about this.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from the group. Is there any news that came out this week that you were surprised by, excited by, scared of? I mean, we saw continued eliminations and reductions of COVID requirements. So that's awesome. Spain, Barbados, Japan, Canada finally. Disney Cruise Line getting rid of their vax requirements. Most of the ships in October, one in November. So that's all, good stuff. But I'd love to know if anyone saw anything that they're excited or concerned about.
Yeah, so guys, drop that in the comments. But I do want to say that our producer, Britta, said that she just went on her first Virgin flight and loved it. Loved the attention to detail. I could adjust my headset up and down in economy. It was such a small detail, but I loved that they had it. And Velma, talking about Goldeneye, said that you can stay at the Fleming Villa.
Yeah.
That would be
I
pretty
venture
cool.
to say that's more than the starting at $575 a night, though.
Yeah.
So it's like a 4-bedroom villa or something like that, I think.
Yeah, I toured, did the little tour bit, but I just enjoyed. I was in like a jungle bungalow, like you would never know anyone else was around. Could be a little
Cool.
bit scary at night in my mind if I let my mind wander, but not so bad. Well, it looks like everyone liked our headline, so they didn't have anything to add to it.
Okay.
But yeah, so we are at the end of our hour. That hour kind of flew by. Even with like a blackout
Goes so
period.
fast.
Even with that blackout period, we still did all right. So, well, Jason, I know I'm
Well,
going
for
to
those
see
of
you
you,
tomorrow with a bunch of our members.
I will be there, and if any of y'all are going to be there, I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and I hope everyone else has a great weekend. So I'll see you later, Joshua, and you can take us home.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us live or watching this on demand. We will see you next Friday at 4 Eastern Time. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you then. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend.